weekly FraxCheck, your weekly vibe check. I am your host, Capital K, and finally, I am rejoined by my co-host, DeFi Dave, and our producer extraordinaire, Sam. And before we dive into the chain and checking the source of truth, please smash that subscribe button and hit that like button. And also join the conversation at Flywheel DeFi on Twitter and also at Flywheel DeFi on Telegram. Not to mention, go and join our Substack to get that sweet alpha directly into your inbox at flywheeldefi.com. All right, boys. This week, I call this week I call it one to the gut and one to the face. Okay. Okay. That was a boxing reference because I started watching this boxing show, and that was how I felt as I was writing this as I was putting this frax check together. I felt like I got a gut shot and then I got a shot right to the face.
I just
And
went boxing training for the first time in like a decade before this episode. It's really coincidental. Yeah, there's like a boxing gym down the street from me. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stop being a fat fuck. I'm gonna like actually go train for a bit. Because like I'm so used to like lifting and stuff, and like lifting's cool. But I'm just like, you know what? I like actually want to get in shape. I want to actually get my cardio up. And so I went. This guy, like old school trainer, like trained
oh
like
man.
he was Zab Judah's uncle, which is pretty cool. If anybody knows boxing, boxer out of like world champion out of Brooklyn. And yeah, he just like we did cardio and just kicked my ass. It's like,
Dude.
yeah.
Well, how you felt was exactly probably how I felt as I was putting this together because I was just like, God damn
I
it.
thought it was gonna be called liquidated this week.
Oh no.
Yeah. And speaking of, I mean, I dodged a punch when all those liquidations were happening, so we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we'll get there. I
there.
literally have a slide on that. All right. So let's get it going. Sam, would you mind putting up the presentation on? Alrighty. So as always, we start with the first flagship product, the Frax stablecoin. And huge news, we are exactly the same as we were last week. So that was sarcasm. There was no news here. We're still at 1 billion, hanging on by a thread. Moving on, we have our peg. We got as low as 0.998 and as high as $1 on the dashboard, but you can't check dashboards or trust dashboards. So we're going to go into the markets, and we slammed the curve Frax BP pool with 100 million curve, 100 million Frax, and we received an exchange rate of 0.9980. This was a nice bounce from last week's 0.9974. Like I said, I hate seeing a 7 in there, so I'm glad we're back into the 8s. Now, on the next slide, you'll see our decentralization, our collateralization percent, which is at 94.8%, which has been this way for the last 8 weeks. So we're on our march to 100, but we're currently stuck at 94.8%. On the other side, we have our decentralization percent. We saw a nice little bump here at one. We gained one, almost 2%, up 21.9%. So pretty much unchanged. So no news on the Frax stablecoin front. But on the next slide, here's the first super high. I felt so good when I saw this. I was like, whoa, we just had a massive increase in our Frax BP TVL. Frax BP is like liquidity as a service for that Frax provides. And here we have an increase of over 134 million, which is a 27% increase in TVL. So I was pumped on this one. I was like, hell yeah. So, and then on the volume front, we had 15.2 million monthly volume so far, which is only 2.4% of the total pool. So only a 2.4% utilization rate. Fairly low, yes, but that just means there are more volume to be facilitated. Now, on the next slide, you'll see a kind of recap across the board of the of liquidity on curve. We have Frax BP at 634 million, 3 pool at 355 million, and Frax 3 CRV at 170 million, and Frax PP at 112 million. So as you guys can tell, Frax 3 CRV took a big hit, dropped by about 100 mil. And on I think that's kind of where the Frax BP increased. Or that's where the Frax BP increase came from, the Frax 3 CRV's decrease. But look at the 3 pool and Frax BP ratio. If we were to be still tracking that ratio, we're almost 2x.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, stop beating that dead horse from like, that Simpson, he's dead already meme. So, I'm not going to cover that anymore. But anyways, we're definitely crushing. Frax is the premier liquidity source in Curve. So whole new paradigm. And now on the next slide, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about IQ. So fun fact, IQ was actually founded by Sam Kazemian before he founded Frax Finance, hence the connection between the two. And here I want to talk about specifically IQ staking, where you could actually stake IQ anywhere from 1 week to 4 years, just like how you could with Curve or FXS. And the voting power is 4x if you were to lock it for 4 years. And it also decays linearly, the voting power, I mean, just like VEFXS and VECRV. Well, why do you want to do these staking? Well, on the next slide, I have 115 reasons for why you should, and that is 115% APR that's being offered for all IQ stakers. And once you stake your IQ, it turns into high IQ. So don't do low IQ stuff. Go do high IQ stuff and stake your IQ to earn that 115%. And I noticed that there is 182 high IQ holders. When we started this, I believe there was like 174. So I would like to attribute the 8 increase of these stakers to us. And I also see that there are 1,758 holders on Ethereum. So all you guys who are not staking on Ethereum right now, I hope you guys are at least providing some protocol owned liquidity. Speaking of that, on the next slide, you'll see the main reason why you need to stake IQ is that the treasury needs to be managed. And the treasury right now is $15.4 million. Okay. And it has pristine assets in the treasury. It has almost 35% in FrxETH. So that's like 5 million. And also it has convex tokens, which is about 2 million, 1.8. And lastly, it also has 1 million of Frax being put to use on Frax land. Very, very efficient treasury. So if you want to get in there and help manage and help kind of dictate where this treasury goes, go stake your IQ. Now, boys, this is the first gut punch. This is the first gut punch. We are actually down for the very first time in FrxETH history. We are down. Did you just feel that left hook right into our rib cage? Yes, yes, that is down 4.5% to 225,268 FrxETH. But the reason why, though, is per Sam K in the chats. He said that they had to rebalance the ETH pool, the ETH FrxETH curve pool, because it was getting a little imbalanced, just to kind of keep the peg strong. So that's why we had to take it out and just effectively burn it. So that is why we are currently down on the FrxETH.
Hey, healthy to see that, it worked,
Yeah, it worked. It worked as planned. It worked as planned. It's just that we see a negative here. But either way, it's just shown that FrxETH could scale up as well as scale down just to maintain the peg for sustainability purposes. So it kind of works like Frax, right? I like to see it. First time for us to see it, but
like an ETH peg stablecoin.
Like an ETH peg stablecoin. Exactly right. Yeah, it's just a little painful. I was always so used to like being. By the time I get to this slide, when I'm preparing, I'm always like, it's gonna be good news. I'm gonna have a great time here. And then nope, I just got punched right in the rib cage. But anyways, let's see where all of the FrxETH are hanging out. Well, actually, it was unchanged. Oh, sorry, Sam, you want to go back a bit? Yeah. So it's unchanged. There's 66% of it is in the FrxETH vault, earning that native ETH yield, and 25% is in the Curve LP, and the remaining 9% is floating in the Ether, aka the monetary premium. And then on the next slide, you'll see that again, like Dave said, FrxETH is still a stable coin, so we got to check the peg. And here we have a peg of 0.9989 on the dashboards. And in the markets, we received a 0.9985. So not too bad, not too bad. It's definitely been improving just because of the rebalance, but about 24 million was taken out from the curve pool here. So that was definitely a fairly large shock to the system. But it was all to bring it back in line, because as you can see, the ratio is like 28% Frax, 28% ETH and 72% FrxETH. So definitely a lot imbalance there. It needs to bring it back. Now, the second gut punch, you go to the right, you see here that we are actually down on our market share 2 weeks in a row. We are down again about 5% in our market share. We're at 2.33% now. Although we're still fourth place, yes, we are still fourth place on the charts, but we are actually ceding market share to, well, Lido and Rocket Pool. So it wasn't great. It was definitely not great this week. So wasn't happy here. And on the next slide, we got another gut punch with our APY not being the highest. We're at 4.62%. And relative to Stakewise, who's in first place at 4.82, and Lido at 4.10, Anchor at 4, and Rocket Pool at 3.1. So definitely, I mean, we're still on the upper echelon, but not on the tippity top and not miles ahead. Sam, I think you're muted.
We have over 1,000 validators waiting to be activated.
Yeah, I know. The queue is long. But regardless, the numbers are the numbers, and once that comes on, things will be a lot better. But for now, I got to report. I got to check the chain and report what's on the chain. But the validators are coming. So as the wise words of crypto Twitter, steady lads, validators deploying. All right, so on the next slide, we got to talk about Sam's favorite product, which is the FPI. And frankly, not much change here across the board. We still have 82.6 million in supply. The inflation index is still pegged to 5%, and FPI itself is still above the peg by 37 bips. And the treasury value is pretty much the same, 89.4 million. 46% of which is made of FPI and Frax in convex, and the equity amount is about 4 million. So not much change here. The Frax lead here is the other punch to the face here that I wanted to share.
I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. So Frax lend, we dropped by 40 million in TVL. Okay. That's how big that drop was. We initially, just last week, we recovered from the whole USDC fiasco like completely. And then now we just like kind of went back to halfway. So not bad. Not too bad. That's on the collateral sense.
Can we skip ahead and talk about like this whole thing?
Yeah,
well, I mean, we can do the APY, but maybe we can fit liquidations in here and talk about it as like a whole thing. The
liquidation is at the end, Sam.
Yeah, let's just do it in order.
Okay,
I have a full slide for it.
Yeah, don't worry, Sam.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then, so for the utilization rate, we actually dropped by 10% down to 69% of the Frax borrowed. And you can see here that the borrowed value also dropped immensely as well. So tons of liquidation, collateral value dropped, and borrowed value dropped as well. On the next slide, let's take a look at some of the famous pairs here. I wish I could zoom in a bit, but actually I'll break it up next slide. But I wanted to highlight one thing. CRV and Frax has been steady at a nice 7.4% for like the last month. So like that is real yield. This is legitimate real yield. It's not subsidized. It's like nothing's to it. That is real yield, paying 7.5% on the CRV pair this whole time throughout. So
can we talk about this actually?
Yeah, what is it?
So I found out this morning that this is probably Michael's position that he has in Fraxland, but Michael also has a fucking huge position in Aave,
like 32%.
He's 32%. 32% of the circulating supply of CRV is in Aave right now.
Why?
Good question.
Why is it not on FrxLend?
So his Michael's health actually got pretty low over the weekend. I think it got down to like 1.15 or 1.2 or something like that. Like it started to get into like territory that was like really bad. You know, a liquidation of CRV of that level, like 32% of all CRV in existence being liquidated. Like I'm sure that Michael can manage his position and keep himself from being liquidated, but I think there's a real threat to like both Frax and then, you know, all of the lending ecosystems for having that big of a position with so much of the circulating supply
in one place.
In one place,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, it's not going to be 32%, right? It's like a haircut style on Aave. So he's just
No, I mean,
close
like, look,
enough
I mean,
to bring it in.
Can we? Oh, you can't see this, can you? Hold on. Let me just move this over here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they have to find 32% of the whole thing at once. They probably sell it in chunks. Granted, it will be massive chunks. It will be like 1% of circulating supply with each hit per se, but it's not 32, right? I think that's a very clickbaity title.
No, it is. It's 32% of the total circulating supply is in, and if it went into liquidation, they'd have to liquidate it. Remember when we had the like issue with like Avi?
No, but they won't liquidate the whole position. Like Aave does haircut liquidations, so they liquidate you enough just to bring you back into collateral, into the right CR.
Is that for V3 or for V2?
It's for all V's because that's the way Aave works. It's not liquidity. Liquidity, that if it was on liquidity, that would be scary because liquidity takes the whole bucket, like the whole thing. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that. And I'm pretty sure, like you said, Michael's gonna be managing his position.
Inshallah.
Yeah. Inshallah.
The ultimate response.
But like CRV is way down over the weekend. CVX is way down.
Yeah.
And it's important for Frax as well too, because like if there were significant liquidations, like we hold a lot of CRV. Like we're the like third or sixth largest CRV holder in existence.
Yeah. Not only do we hold a lot of CRV, we also have a lot of people borrowing on the CRV Frax pair, so FraxLend could have its first bad debt.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially.
Allegedly.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Mitch, please do not inshallah. Be responsible. All right. Let's move on to the last leg of the DeFi Trinity. That is the Frax swap. Here we saw a 10% drop in TVL down to 57 million and then although we had this drop in TVL, we also had a massive jump in Frax liquidity this week. We have a 17.8 million volume so far for the month of June, and it's been 2 weeks, and utilization rate is about 31%. On the next slide, you'll see the top pools that generated that volume, and that is the Frax swap, the FxETH and Frax pair, which facilitated 9 million in volume. So about a month ago, we were doing about 15 mil a week. And over the last 2 weeks in June, we did 5 mil and 9 mil. So our volume pretty much halved since it was like in prior months. That's why that's why the volume has not been that great for FraxSwap. And then on the very next pool, that is the IQ Frax pair, which generated 2.4 million in volume this week. So for all those IQ holders out there that are not in the high IQ staking, I hope you're at least in this protocol on liquidity, earning some nice yield there. All righty. And then here we're going to switch gears and dive into the profitability. And Sam, in 3 slides, we'll get to what you want. But just hang tight. All right. So first off, let's start with the macro picture of how we're doing as an AMO overall. So we have a nice bump of 1.6% for the AMOs, which is now at 837 million. How did that come out? Well, we took the Curve AMO of 546 million, which increased by 20 mil over the week. And then the Liquidity AMO dropped by 6.5 million down to 65 million. And the lending AMO bumped up by 10 million to 105 million. And the investor AMO dropped by 9.6 million with kind of the market down to 120 million. So kind of painful day, but overall everything is kind of balanced and we're up small. On the next slide, you see the profitability of the convex AMO specifically. Here we have a net loss of 130K for the first 2 weeks of June, and we generated 330K in revenue from CRV, CVX, and FXS, and we paid bribes of 460K. So that gives us a net loss of 130. On the next slide, we have our Frax AMO, Frax Lend AMO, and we increased it by 10 million Frax this week. Okay, so now we have a total minted of 85 million Frax. We lent out 58 million. Previously, that was a 65 million number, but obviously with the liquidation, the Frax didn't get lent out, so it dropped back down to 58. But so far, we are making about 22K a week on FraxLend. This is just from the interest, not from the liquidation. I'll get to the liquidation literally on the next slide. But we so far in June have made $44,000 on our just lending out real yield situation. Okay, now I just want to RIP and pour one for all the fallen homies right now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a shot. And on the next slide, we generated $186,000 in liquidation fees to us. This is liquidation profit to us. So if you just took that 186 divided by 9%, and you have the real number of how much value was liquidated over the week. Okay.
Dude, I got a text from Sam like Saturday night. I was like out. I don't know if I was at like the Milady rave or like something, but I just get a text like the largest liquidations in FraxLend history just happened. I'm just like, holy shit. Holy shit.
Yeah, holy shit, dude. As I was putting these numbers together, I was just like, oh my God. I was like, I think some dude got rocked for like 50K. Somebody was like, oh my goodness, RIP, pour one for the dude. I couldn't even paste all of the liquidations in my screenshot. Like it was that long. I was just like, okay,
you just see on CoinGecko just like line, just like boom.
Oh, dude.
I know. I almost was one of those people.
So, Sam, tell us what happened.
So, like I had like way back when, hold on, let me take a look at the chart just to get some like dates, right? So back in January, I took out a loan against my FXS to buy FPIS when it was like $1.
I remember.
I was like, good strategy, whatever. Like we're never coming back to like we've had 8 months of accumulation, feels good. Like we're never coming back to this level. So took out my loan. Everything was great. I was like using the FPIS to like pay down the debt. And that morning, right? So what was that, like Friday morning? I woke up, claimed my FPIS, and then paid down my debt. I went from like, was it like 509, right? And I pulled it down to like 491 or something like that.
Whoa, you were like,
yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm all good. I'm like, all good.
Fire there.
I'm like, oh, I've got $1. Like, I'm fine. So I like go out with some friends, like watching the basketball game. Come home and I just like open up my phone and I'm like, what? Shit.
I gotta go home.
No, this is late. I had already come home and I was like about to go to bed. And I was like, oh my God, it's like midnight. So like get on my computer. Like I look at the Oracle. Thankfully the Oracle didn't drop. The Oracle like bottomed out at like 513. And I was like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do? Like I gotta fix this. I spent probably an hour and a half like unwinding the position. Hey, Drake, if you're listening to this, like we'd love to have some like flash loan style things where I could like borrow and like loop or unloop in the same transaction. If you're listening, did that, went to bed, brought it down to like 470, and then like
oh my God,
woke up in the morning and I was like, oh my God, it's like we're like at 490. I was like, okay, I gotta unwind even more. Unwound. I'm at like 3.5 now. Like if we go to 3.5, like I'm like.
Well, we have $18 million in firepower to buy back FXS.
Still, yeah. I mean, Sam did come out and he said that like below $5 is too low, like for what he thinks. We actually, there's a really good. I have some alpha. I have a clip from the podcast we're releasing tomorrow, or like what is tomorrow? It's on Wednesday, where Sam essentially says that like he goes through everything. He's like looking at the price of FXS, looking at everything that's coming, knowing what's on the roadmap. Like I feel like we're not criminally, but he says feels like people are underexposed, and he feels like that we're undervalued. So if you want to hear that,
advice,
well, if you want to hear, actually, he starts by saying that. But if you want to hear that, tune into Wednesday's episode of Flywheel, which is coming tomorrow.
Yes. Tomorrow's drop is going to be massive. We go deep into FrxETH V2. And then at the end, oh my goodness, I did not expect Sam to bring that heat at the end, but that was some nice juicy alpha. So please tune in the next day tomorrow as well to catch that. And all right.
But these were significant. I mean, like looking at these FraxLane positions, like these are some of the largest
big boys
FXS positions that people have. Right? Like
big boys, bro. Big boys.
I just don't understand how you get caught out. Like, I mean, I get it. Okay. The market moved, liquidation caused a cascade, and people just got wrecked. Right. But some people really got caught out on this one, and that just were not thinking about how fast the market could move.
I mean, that's usually the case, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah, that's usually the case. Like, There's
nothing
else to say. Yeah.
I'm looking at the FraxLane page now, or like the FraxFacts page, and like most people have moved their liquidation levels like down to like 350, like 330 is like the next level, like 380. A lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, dude, if we get down there, I'm actually very excited because I would definitely be deploying. I actually took a little nibble at 4.8
I think this is
days
great
ago.
still.
Yeah. So anyways, we had
just to put this in context before we move on, like we started this podcast in June. It was like June 6th. Oh wait, no, we just came on the anniversary. June 9th. Yes. So like looking at the chart, I'm just gonna say, like, so today, if you go back 1 year ago today, we're at the same price that we were.
Bullish. Oh man, that's so awesome. Fucking round trip.
All right. Okay.
That's
enough. That's enough of that. Let's wrap it up.
And just one last time for the listeners. For June revenue of liquidations, we have $186,300 for FraxLand liquidations. That is a massive amount. All right. On the next slide, we talk about the last piece of revenue, which is our FPI monthly revenue at $2,177. We had to do a lot to keep the peg this week. So expensive there, and also every rewards dropped. So that's why. Now on the next slide, you'll see a aggregated, consolidated view of the balance sheet per se, of the income statement rather. We have Convex at 130K loss, FraxLend at 44K revenue, FraxLend liquidations at 186,000, and FrxETH at 202,000, and FPI at 2,100, which gives us a total revenue for June, 14 days in, at $305,000.
Yay!
So yay, green! Very excited there, and that is it, folks. And any comments from the boys?
Liquidated.
Yeah.
If you were liquidated and you want to come on and tell your story,
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry to everybody. I feel your pain. This is why I don't use leverage anymore. So like, Godspeed if you do.
Yeah, you don't need leverage.
You don't need it. Just like hold and do nothing.
Just lock it up for 4 years.
Not financial advice. Just do nothing.
Exactly. Lock it up, and like then you can't even sell if you want to.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hashtag 4 year locked.
Hashtag 4 year locked.
Max lock. Hashtag max lock. But yes, that is it for this week. I was definitely going through this and I was like, damn.
Damn.
Yeah. I was like, damn, like people got like, even though I didn't get any liquidated, it felt like a punch in the face for me to see that $186,000 in liquidation fee.
Punch in the
Like,
face, you say?
yeah, I felt like, oh yeah, I definitely felt like that was a punch in the face. The gut punch was like, oh, FrxETH is down. And then when I went to Frax liquidation, it's like, oh, right in the jaw.
Well, it's never a steady straight line up. You're going to have your ups and downs, peaks and valleys. And it's not about how you get knocked down. It's about how you get knocked up. I mean, back up. You get knocked up.
Are you trying to tell us?
Close us. Take us home. Take us home, DeFi Day.
And if you want to be there on the journey on our way to get back up, make sure you hit that bell button, subscribe, leave us a comment, give us a like on YouTube. Let us know what you think. Follow us on Twitter at Flywheel DeFi. Join our discussion on Telegram at Flywheel DeFi. You can follow me on Twitter at DeFiDave22.
You can follow me at 0xcapital_K.
You can find me at traders_insight.
Top off your positions. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.